4-on-2. Right side Trey attacking the basket, scoops back to Hayward. He'll go up to the cookie jar and take one away. Hammer for Gordon Hayward, assist Trey Burke. From Denver in December, we go back for that highlight. It is tip-off on a Wednesday morning, the 17th of September. 1 month from today, Jazz play the Clippers in LA preseason. 2 months from today, we will have returned from our East Coast road trip and the season will be full underway. How about that? It is tip-off. Pow. Hope you're well. Thank you very much. I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. Glad to have Hangout back out and working for us today. What do we have coming up on the show? I sat down with Jeremy Evans and Alec Burks yesterday, who will be the Jazz leading scorer. An interesting note on Derrick Favors and other Jazz players come in on NBA Ranked for ESPN. A few notes from Open Gym yesterday, Zach Lowe and Alec Burks, and if we have time, a bunch of news from around the NBA, including the inability to evidently stop at a red light. If you missed it, late last night I posted Two Guys on the 12, our Pac-12 podcast with Ian Furness that goes up late every Tuesday night. So that is available for you right now. Jazz Mini Plan tickets are available for you as well, and there's your Build Your Own 7-game pack, which is just a terrific package if you would like to grab a hold of that. And by the way, for those of you on video, yes, the emblem on my T-shirt is tilted. I am not. The emblem on my T-shirt is tilted. Why someone can't silk screen something straight, I don't know. So yesterday I continued doing a lot of our production pieces. I sat down with two guys we know well, Jeremy Evans, just a fabulous guy. Just such a good-natured guy. One of the fun things I've started asking some of the guys a bunch of questions. One of them, when were you first dumped? Have you ever been dumped? And Jeremy's not. His first girlfriend ever is his wife, so that's kind of a cool story. Yeah, but Jeremy, just a good kid. Just a I don't know what down home means, but somehow it seems to match. So it was fun to see Jeremy. He made some nice plays. With his verticality and his ability to jump yesterday in Open Gym, 2 dunks, and then there was a play where you talk about second, third, and fourth jump. His is better. His third and fourth jump, second, third, and fourth jump is the best in the NBA. I mean, I consider Andrew Wiggins is maybe better, but that's it. We'll see with Andrew Wiggins. But Jeremy, there was a play yesterday, and there weren't a lot of big guys on the floor at the time, but Jeremy tip once, tip twice, tip 3 times, 4th times, kept it up and in. Ideally he starts to learn how to get these in earlier, but his ability to pogo stick back up, just special. You watch that athleticism and you think to yourself, God, there has to be some way that can become useful and valuable in the NBA rotation. But the way the roster looks right now, I don't know where his minutes are coming from. And he got a lot of minutes last year, and I'm not sure entirely what he proved last year. So it'll be interesting to see where his career path goes. Then Alec Burks just seemed a little bit more grown up, a little bit more verbose, but certainly not verbose. Good storytelling. It was nice to chat with him and spend that time with him. He's always very nice. We did a long sit down last year and broke through a little bit on that, and he's gonna have an his season to me is the most interesting of any Jazz player because Quinn's got ways he wants things done, and Alec's gonna have to figure out how to play in that style. Spacing is the essence of everything that Quinn does, and so and it's very detail oriented in that, and so Alec's gonna have to play in that correctly. Quinn loves Alec going to the rim, but it's got to happen inside the concept of the team and how things are supposed to happen with the team. And, just watching Alec in Open Gym defensively, that talent is really there. It always has been. And there's always been that kind of blip in the middle of a play where he stands up for a minute and then he gets beat. And these are the things that, he certainly didn't get away with them in the past because, his minutes never fully came to fruition the way a lot of people wanted them to, and that's why. And so now The same thing with a coach that seemingly is more detail-oriented are going to happen. He improved last year at using picks, but I think Alec's instinct is to go away from the pick, yet most of Quinn's offense is constant movement and constant action and constant picks, and the picks are set to open you free on a wide open third side offensive possession. And he's got to learn how to use that and take advantage of that and be a part of that, or it's not going to be as successful a season for him as it could be. I asked on Twitter yesterday an interesting question that I asked around the Jazz facility when I was there for Open Gym yesterday a little bit. Who is the Jazz leading scorer? It was interesting. The first reaction was, well, it's probably Alec or Gordon from people, and then but no consensus. And again, this kind of is this great question of what does Alec do? And then the next, I said, well, what about if Trey's pretty active, you have Alec and Gordon negating each other a little bit, and then you end up with Derrick? And someone's like, yeah, well, it's a possibility. If Derrick can get himself, Derrick's got to take the next jump. And a lot of people on Twitter said to me, 19 and 10 for Derrick this year. And that would be awesome, but that's a huge jump. I think Derrick looks physically terrific. He's such a amazing physical specimen. He's pretty talented. But, for example, if you look at Derrick's per 36 minutes, his first year he averaged 12.5 points per 36 minutes. He went to 14.9 and 14 per 6, and then last year per 36 he jumped to 15.9 per 36 minutes on the floor. If you're trying to get him to 18 or 19 points, per 36 minutes he's not going to play much more than 36. Last year he played 30. I mean, if you're trying to get him to that, people talking about getting him to 18 or 19. Let's assume he goes and plays 3 or 4 more minutes. Maybe even give him 6 to 36. That's 2 more points per 36 minutes. That's a lot on average. You don't see that a tremendous amount. I mean, his jump last year really was that he went from shooting 48% to 52%, which was a really nice increase in his game, but he'd have to shoot. There'd have to be a really big change. If you look at his per 36 minutes on the floor, he's taken 11.6 shots 3 years ago, 11.4 last year, and 12.2. I mean, really all in the kind of the same realm of how often he was involved in the offense. And I don't see another 3 or really, you're talking 3 or 4 shot attempts more, up to 13 and 14 shot attempts again. Maybe that'd be great. And that, if he stretches to 35 minutes, then I think he does get to 10 rebounds. I don't think that's a problem. And so maybe he gets to 16 and 10. 18 and 10 seems like, just these are big quantum jumps. You're asking at him, but it maybe. I mean, if we look at his progression, he was playing 20 minutes a night, and then 23, and now 30. So maybe he gets to 34. I think it's a stretch, I guess, is what I'm saying. But I have great faith in Derrick, and I spent some time with him recently. We were actually all talked about. The TV crew is there doing some production pieces as well, and we all were talking yesterday at lunch about the fact that he just seems to be so comfortable in his own skin and so mature right now, and just has grown into himself. Derrick, I'm speaking of. So maybe that's what comes next. It'll be interesting. I think it's telling that we don't have a star. I also think it plays to the balance. One thing that's going to be very different this year watching this team.
Avast virus database has been updated.
Thank you, Avast. Avast is good at sneaking into my broadcast to get itself its free plugs. One thing that I think is interesting this year is I was always taught that the way you play NBA basketball is you have to know who's going to shoot, when they're going to shoot in the shot clock, where they're going to shoot on the floor, and how they're going to get the ball. That was the essence of the NBA. You had to do those things, and if you didn't do those things, you couldn't be successful. We're about as opposite as that. We're playing a flow. We're playing a read. The offense is going to scuffle at times early in the season. I mean, there's some days where we could look really terrible, I think. when we go, I don't know who it's going to be, but we go into Indiana on November 10th on the back end of a back-to-back, and Indiana gets into our shorts a little bit, and our guys don't know how to make the reads when Indiana's in on our shorts, and it could get, we could have we could shoot 34% and have a 70-point game. That's going to be part of the process. But that flow means I don't think you're going into plays, unless Quinn's doing something I don't understand, entirely sure who's going to shoot, or even necessarily who is going to initiate the action that gets the shot. It's going to be much more off reads and actions of what the other team is doing inside of how they're defending the action and the flow. And it's how most of the league is playing now. Don't kid yourself. But it is different, and I think it makes the discussion on who's going to be the leading scorer for the Jazz an even more difficult discussion than it has been otherwise. Spent a brief moment introducing myself to Derrick Felix. Interesting guy, another one. Guys, these guys are, it's clear what Dennis has done building this team. He's got a master's degree. How many guys in the NBA think have a master's degree? So he went to Southern Idaho for 2 years and Arizona State for 3. And so in his 5th year, he went and got himself a master's degree. Very interesting guy. Just said, where are you living? And he actually is living out south a little bit. And I was like, wow, what would you do? He says, I lived in downtown Cleveland last year. I wanted to get away a little bit. This is where the realtor kind of led me. I think it's so interesting, choice of just kind of telling you he's very thought out. I don't know if he made the right choice or wrong choice. We'll see if he likes where he lives. Hopefully he has a good experience because he is out a little bit, surprisingly, and we'll see. So when he gets his first I-15 commute in a snowy day, he may not like it very much getting into shoot around. So but he just another. Hopefully I'll sit down with him and get to know him a little bit more today or the next day. But again, just that same very very bright, well put together. These are going to be good guys. Quinn's trying to play an intellectual style of basketball, and he's got generally a team I think can match that. Rodney Hood came in on NBA rank at 377, which means I'm immediately wrong. I thought Jeremy Evans would come up before Rodney Hood. My guess was Evans, Hood, Novak, Exum, Gobert, Booker, Cantor, Burks, Favors, Hayward. We've already had Toure Murray, Felix, Ian Clark, and Jack Cooley. I would say I thought that they flipped Felix Murray, and I'm not sure that Exum isn't going to end up ahead of Gobert and Booker a little bit, but I thought people may be put off by his summer league and his European play a little bit, but we'll see. I think Exum could end up ahead of Gobert and Booker on the charts. The next one for me to really, if I was impressive, would be to try to place the numbers on these guys. But Rodney Hood comes in at 377 yesterday. Hood's issue is going to be on the defensive end. Offensively, he's a nice offensive player. He matches what we were just talking about, types of players. He'll understand how to make the reads, do those kind of things. He's a pretty good shooter, though I think the three-point line's going to be more of an issue for him than people realize at first. And he's a terrific passer in traffic and very good on the pick and roll. From what I've seen in the open gym. Those are the things that jumped out at me. A few notes from yesterday's open gym. Trevor Booker, again, rebound and go on 2 different occasions, led the break on the rebound. Yesterday's session didn't seem as sharp as it has in the past, but maybe not that surprising. At some point it wears down a little bit. But yeah, so Trevor Booker twice again, grabbing the rebound, leading the break. That's not something you're going to see him do a lot. It just gives you an idea of his skill set and his athleticism. Booker had an interesting quote at the end of the Tony Jones serial article that the main thing for him is to make the corner 3. It's true. There's numerous times in the offense in which part of the action takes the power forward into the corner, and he and Cantor are going to have to make the corner 3 for this team. Zach Lowe wrote an article on Alec Burks, and I thought it was interesting that the summation on that article was that Alec Burks, it was dead on, but it was a good reminder. So Alex has this incredible skill, he basically said, which was to get to the rim. It's hard to do. There aren't many guys who have it. We all know this. But then there was this next whole part of the article of where I feel like where Zach was kind of lost on who Alec is, and I think we all are still. This is where I think this is going to be such an amazing, interesting season. Like, is he a sixth man? Is he a starting shooting guard? Does he shoot enough threes to be a starting shooting guard? Can he play with the ball in his hands? He's not a bad defender, but he's not a good defender. He's not a unmitigated dumpster fire. I thought it was very interesting. At the end of the piece by Zach, there was just this whole question mark on who he is. And I think that's the question mark we've all had still the whole time on Alec Burks. He threw out a number, I think 4-year, 32. Maybe if you can do that, you do it. I think with this market, with the TV Lands contract coming up, I think the chance of getting any extension done for teams is going to be almost impossible. I think we're going to have almost no extensions done in the entire league unless the Morris twins do something funky just to stay together in Phoenix. But I really couple the Hayward and Chandler Parsons deal with where the market is going in a few years, and I think agents are going to be shooting for the moon. And again, don't ever forget that so much of what agents are is whether they can sell what they did to their next client. And I think that's when you have, in some of these cases, when you have an agent that's not even, but frankly, Mark Bartlestein was dead right as Gordon Hayward's agent, but I even think that was part of his thing, is he was having a hard time getting some clients recently, and he couldn't afford, and frankly, quite honestly, it might be because Mark plays the game fairly. Like, don't take this as an insult. I mean, sometimes not being able to get some clients is because you're not playing the AAU game, and I mean, I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but it could also be because you're not paying and doing all sorts of stuff, right? And it's interesting. Go look at every now and then you'll go look at an agent and look at who his clients are, and you're like, well, I don't think he paid for any of those guys. And you look at another and be like, wow, I think he paid for all of them, in whatever way in which that happens. And so a guy like Bartlestein, who I may be dead wrong on this, but my view was he wasn't playing the seeded game and was beginning to hurt him a little bit. He lost some of his. Andy Miller, I think, was one of his who left and started his own firm. That for a guy as established as Bartlestein, one of the best agents in the game, he couldn't miss on the Hayward. He didn't. Give him credit. He hit it out of the park, right? But if he goes and takes that extension that was offered at the wrong number last year, and then Chandler Parsons goes and gets the max, does somebody say, look, Bartlestein, when he's trying to get his next client, some say, don't go to Bartlestein. Look, he screwed Hayward out of $12 million. So there's a whole element in these extensions right now that no agent wants to misjudge the market of what's coming, and everyone thinks it's going to be, just a money bath. It's going to make it virtually impossible to get extensions done. A few other notes. I think some of this is going to get interesting, by the way, on the extension stuff, because nothing's the same this year. This is the number one thing I could tell you going into the next season. Nothing is the same. Phoenix is going to be the best. Bledsoe's not the same after his contract. The Morris twins are free agents coming up at the end of the year. Goran Dragic's free. Nothing's the same in Jeff's world anymore. How about a Golden State where Klay Thompson wants the max, won't sign without the max, and when he gets the max, will be earning much more money than Steph Curry? Can't help. Right? When Steph Curry becomes the fourth highest, if not fifth highest paid player on that team, can't help. It's just these little things. Steve Kerr instead of Mark Jackson. Nothing's the same. The instinct at this time of the year is that every change makes a team better, too. Not true. Interesting. Mayor of Atlanta talks about keeping the Hawks in Atlanta. Now, the premise of what he's talking about is the fact that they're worried about what the Braves did in taking the team outside of the city. What about if they just took them outside of Georgia? Is this franchise at all vulnerable to a Seattle swoop in or some other marketplace? It seemed impossible that Seattle could lose a franchise to a piddly little cowtown like Oklahoma City at the time. Is it possible that Atlanta, a vibrant southern city similarly sized to Seattle but has had attendance problems much more than Seattle ever did, has less of a basketball history, could they lose their franchise? An interesting note coming out of Detroit, Brandon Jennings and 14 of his teammates have been at the Palace for the last few weeks. So very similar to what the Jazz are doing with new coach Quinn Snyder. New coach and president Stan Van Gundy has had a bunch of people in. And the final note of the day, Dwight Howard, from 2004 to 2012, racked up 10 tickets for running red lights while in Orlando. Begs the question, to get caught 10 times, how many red lights do you have to run? Or are you stupid enough to get caught at the same red light and the same sting every single time? He also has, on his Orlando court record, 4 speeding tickets, 12 citations for failing to pay highway tolls, and 1 for failing to change his address on his license. It's irrelevant. It's why Houston will never win. I'm serious. It's why that guy, if he's your lead, it's why Houston Jazz are going to win their opener because of this. I'm telling you. Houston plays in LA the night before. Their leadership with James Harden and Dwight Howard is not significant enough to be ready to play the next night. And the Jazz, fired up, opening night under Quinn, are going to grab the opening night. I don't know how many more they're getting that month, but they're getting that one. That's tip-off. Have a good one.